It is Friday the 13th. You best be careful. Oh, fair and fickle day, Friday the 13th, where superstition holds a mighty sway. Okay, that's supposed to sound like William Shakespeare, but it sounds more like Katharine Hepburn, doesn't it? Oh, Norman, you old poop.
Broadcasting live from the only establishment in town that can't kick him out. His own basement. The world according to Rocket.
It is I, Rocket Man, and this is the world according to Rocket. We got a big-time guest on the show today. My old buddy Tom Zenner is with us. Tom has a podcast called 1 Degree of Scandalous. He's going to be my guest a tiny bit later on the show today. Of course, this episode is brought to you by LuxuryTravelNashville.com. All work and no play makes for a boring life. Well, let me tell you, it's time to break up the monotony and treat yourself to that luxury vacation you've been dreaming of. I mean, seriously, come on. You deserve to relax on some white, sandy beaches, indulge in delicious food and drink, and see the world in style. It's time to trade in your daily grind for some much-needed R&R. And the folks to help you make that happen in the most convenient way, you can find them at LuxuryTravelNashville.com. Just give Deb a call. Just call Deb, 615-863-1263. As I promised you, I don't lie to you. Well, there are a couple of times that I did, but that was, tequila involved in that one. But I promised you Tom Zenner was going to be here. Let's welcome Mr. Zenner to the show.
Thanks, Rocket.
Thomas, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. It really is. Congratulations. I really want to sincerely congratulate you. You built this thing from scratch. I love where it's going. Thanks for having me today. I think you're going to turn it into something really exciting. So great job.
Well, very nice. And right back at you. We'll talk about your podcast as well. 1 Degree of Scandalous with the very scandalous Cato Caitlin. What a great partner.
The best. We'll talk about it later, but man, he's just the coolest. People think they have this preconceived notion about Cato, right? And he's pretty much as famous as he was back in the 90s, maybe not quite as much, but he has this ability with his charm and just this natural charisma and joy that he has. People are expecting some beach bum. They want to not like him sometimes because they don't, but It's impossible not to love him. But we'll get you on our show, Rocket, and you'll see for yourself.
That'd be cool. As I promised you, I don't lie to you. Well, there are a couple of times that I did, but that was, tequila involved in that one. But I promised you Tom Zenner was going to be here. Let's welcome Mr. Zenner to the show.
Thanks, Rocket.
Thomas, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. It really is. Congratulations. I really want to sincerely congratulate you. You built this thing from scratch. I love where it's going. Thanks for having me today. I think you're going to turn it into something really exciting. So great job.
Well, very nice. And right back at you. We'll talk about your podcast as well. 1 Degree of Scandalous with the very scandalous Cato Caitlin. What a great partner.
The best. We'll talk about it later, but man, he's just the coolest. People think they have this preconceived notion about Cato, right? And he's pretty much as famous as he was back in the 90s, maybe not quite as much, but he has this ability with his charm and just this natural charisma and joy that he has. People are expecting some beach bum. They want to not like him sometimes because they don't, but It's impossible not to love him. But we'll get you on our show, Rocket, and you'll see for yourself.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a fan. And a lot of people don't know this, but Zenner and I go back 30 years. And as a matter of fact, I was looking at this. My other headphones died. And I am using, you can see that the cover of these are the very same headphones that I wore at Sweet 98 when you and I worked together.
That's great. Those are some strong headphones because you threw those damn things a lot. So that's awesome that they're still around and they still work. So congratulations to Sony or whoever manufactured those. Those things took a beating.
So I have Tennessee questions and I have Tom Zenner questions. So let's get to them.
Let's do it.
I got a big complaint. Tennessee, there's this anti-Tennessee bias in the media. Maybe you can speak to it. You've been in the media a long time, right? 35, 40 years, right? So
let's peel back on the 40 here, but a while, definitely a while, not 40, but a while.
Well,
a long time.
We worked together in 1991. But that's about the time you started, though, wasn't it?
I just got out of college, right?
Okay.
And I drove my first job was in Sioux City, Iowa for 4.5 months. And then I hit the big time. I went to Omaha. So
yes, sir.
It was cool. Hey, but by the way, I love it how this media bias all of a sudden comes out when they're good, right? There was no media bias 3 years ago.
So here's how they ended. Georgia, TCU, who lose by 60 points, and then Ohio State, Michigan, then Ohio State, then Alabama, who Tennessee beat, and number 6 is Tennessee. So let's just start. Who should your top 6 be based on the end of the college football season?
Okay, so Michigan's the only team with 1 loss that's that low. So Ohio State's got 2 losses. Alabama's got 2 losses. What did Tennessee finish with? 3?
No,
with the bowl game? 2. They beat Clemson in the bowl game. Yeah. Look, TCU is not the number 2 team in the country, and I don't think you just automatically reward them for making it there. They got there. They had a chance.
Right.
We saw what happened. The evidence was horrible. I mean, it just if that's not an indictment that this can't happen again. I mean, everybody was excited for that game, and you were done with it by the second quarter. You were literally done. There was nothing to watch. It was non-competitive. So they can't be in the top 4. Tennessee let's just rank them where we think they should be. Clearly Georgia number 1. I would put TCU at number 6, probably Ohio State number 2, then Michigan, even though Michigan did beat them. I don't know if you could argue about that. And then maybe I put Tennessee above TCU. I will, because I think they have just a more dynamic coach. They clearly have more athletes. If you put these two teams on the same neutral field or whatever, Tennessee's going to run them if they're healthy too. So Tennessee, 5. Around there, they beat Alabama, so put them above Alabama. Seriously. So
right. I mean, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
They need to be above Alabama.
They do. Here's the difference. Nick Saban had that public, that free airtime, on ESPN Monday and all through the weekend, right? And the guy's constantly campaigning, and that eventually does seep into people that have a vote and that have an opinion. Josh Heupel, you didn't see him anywhere. Right. So all you're doing is hearing that. And Nick's very convincing and making you think you made a mistake. Right. That's his whole MO. I mean, that's how he gets the most out of his players, his assistant coaches, by constantly pointing out what they did wrong. So when he's talking to the media, he's letting them know what they did wrong. And you tend to believe it because he's authoritative. But there's no way. I think Tennessee earns the spot above Alabama because they beat them, period.
Thumbs up or thumbs down, just really quick, talking about Saban, the TV commercials, the Affleck with primetime. Shouldn't we get rid of those commercials?
Are you out of your mind? Look, Rocket, listen, your background is Hollywood. Okay. How dare you? Why would you say that? No, thumbs up. He's good.
Really?
He's a good foil for Dion. I mean, that's fun to watch. He gets out of his comfort zone. What, do you want to see Nick Saban do the exact same thing he does 24/7, which is be Mr. Intensity, Mr. Serious, Mr. Locked In, right? I love it. I love the fact that he has that part of his personality, and he has to do that, Rocket, because kids want to see that. Recruits want to see that too, because Georgia has pretty much eclipsed them now as far as the number 1 power in the country. So I think it's smart for him. Here's the thing I don't understand though. And we can talk about this on another show. These guys just don't know when to go. And the sad thing is it tarnishes their legacy. It will tarnish. Why not grasp the opportunity to go out when you are unequivocally the best? And he could have done that with that last championship with, 2 years ago during the COVID.
Right.
He could have gone. He could have left. He could have gone to TV, done whatever he wanted. It's the same thing that Belichick is doing. He's being so exposed as the most overrated coach in NFL history. He truly is. Brady is 100% responsible for that dynasty in New England. So, if we get back to the commercial, I loved them. I loved it. I liked the commercials with Dion. I thought it was good. I liked the blue blazer, the whole thing.
God, it's
I like it.
horrible.
I like it. You can't talk me out of it. It will not happen.
All right, fine. Hey, you mentioned the recruiting thing, that it's good for recruiting. The kids like to see that. We talked on this show the other day about the recruiting grind. You were a D1 player. I don't know anything about recruiting. Mm-hmm. Except when maybe they recruited me for the Guiding Light. But that's a whole different recruitment thing, right? So how is that recruiting grind for, obviously it was really good for Tennessee this year, but God, it's got to be horrible in terms of the travel, particularly if you have a crap season, right? You got to go out and try to convince kids that you didn't have a crap season and come play for them, right?
Well, here's the deal. It's completely changed in the last 3 years. 2 or 3 years. It's not anything like it used to be. Because here's what you're doing if you're a big time coach. If you're in the SEC, or even the Big West, the Pac-12, you're recruiting your own players first. Okay, you got to try to make sure the least amount of them enter the portal. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you go right to the portal because that's free agency. So you're recruiting these guys that you can just pencil right in and fill a need. So before they look at these blue chip high school players outside of the obvious ones that are difference makers, they are recruiting that portal. As soon as these names are on the portal, and I know this because I'm involved in the recruiting game just a little bit with a company that I do some work for, but it is a completely different world right now. And, it's really going to separate, the schools that have the resources and the money and with compared to the other ones because, well, think about every SEC coach. They have their own jet. All right. So it's no big deal. They're going wherever they want. It's not that difficult. It's not much of a grind. And then the other thing that they're all dealing with at every level is the NIL money. And that is the first question an athlete has. It's not playing time. It's not where am I on the depth chart? It's not, can I get this major? It's where's the NIL money coming from? Right. It's a whole new world. I don't know if they'll get a handle on it and have some sort of control over what's going on because it is so completely the Wild West right now. But look, it's all about the money. I think there's some good things about it. I think it'll keep kids in college longer. I do. I think you could stay if you know you're going to make $1 million in college. So, but it's such a crazy time. I was fearful, Rocket. I don't know about you, but I was worried that the NIL situation was going to affect the quality of play in college football, where these kids are, getting paid big money and it doesn't mean as much anymore, but that's not the case. The level of play has not dipped one bit. So, I don't know. It's totally different. Yeah. I was recruited. I wasn't a 5-star and I grew up in Minnesota and I also played junior college football. And the only thing I cared about was going west. I said the first school in California that gives me a scholarship, I'm gone. San Diego State, Fresno, whatever. And I ended up going to the University of Pacific when we had football there before they dropped it. But it was a great experience, a good spot for me. But NIL. And, I have a daughter. My oldest daughter played Division I sports. She was the captain of the Pepperdine soccer team, had a very good career. My daughter, who's a junior, Ivana, if you could believe that, she's a junior now, Rocket. Wow. She just got her driver's license. She's going to be a Division I.
I took her baby photos.
Yes,
remember?
You did.
I took her baby photos.
Yeah. She's not a baby. So she'll be going division high level, Pac-12, Big Ten, Division I, and then my son Dash will be a Division I baseball player. So I'm in the middle as a parent too now, right? So I'm going to see it from a different perspective. But the good thing for you and Tennessee fans is if you have any perceived weakness on that roster, it can be fixed immediately. Right. There should not be a dip next year. There should not be.
Yeah. And I don't know why people are talking about the dip. Let me just ask you, if you have friends over there, just say it and just say pass. But the 24/7 people, do you 24/7 sports people? Are you?
No friends.
Okay. Some weenie over there is talking about Tennessee should be number 12 in the country. And it's just I'm going to try to get him on the show and just have a little come to Jesus meeting with him as you are aware of. Let's talk about Nico real quick because I know your time is limited and I want everybody to know that they can see Nico Iamaleava, our $8 million NIL guy. Can you imagine that, Zenner?
I think that's going to, I can't. I literally can't wrap my arms around that. And it's going to create an interesting dynamic in the locker room. It just is. I mean, 8 million. I mean, that is the most I've heard of anybody, right? I mean, we don't know what Caleb Williams got, okay, because he didn't announce where he was transferring to for a little bit last year. So, but it worked for him, and he's that good, right? And he had proven himself for 1 year, and he had his coach. A freshman coming in, making more, making double the assistants.
Yeah, that's what why the Polynesian Bowl I think is really important, because he got there early and he went through the practices for the Orange Bowl, and I have already seen a change and improvement in him. Heupel's thing is feet first, eyes second. It doesn't, they figure they can throw the football by the time they get there. What they don't know is feet and eyes first. And I have already seen an improvement from Nico in just 3 weeks of having that coaching. Yeah. And I think he's going to be insanely good, but this is first time next Friday night we get to see him play after having some influence with those coaches.
Wow. That almost seems unfair. He's playing in a high school all-star game. Yes. After all we've been through training. Look,
right, exactly.
There is no substitute for elite offensive coaching. It's what separates the great players and great teams. And Heupel is one of those guys. He just is. Yeah. And plus he can craft him. He can get rid of or mold him. He can get rid of any bad habits he might have. It's so funny. I live in the heart of Los Angeles, LA, and there's so much going on right here. Like, we don't talk high school football. Like, there's no buzz about him here. Right. Because where it's like such a big story out there. And that concerns me just a little bit but then again, I don't really watch the news after working in the news for 25 years or 20 years.
Right.
I'm so disgusted by local news. Yeah, right. Local news is just impossible to watch these days. But I can't wait to watch the kid. I really can't. Just to see what an $8 million NIL player looks like.
Next Friday night, they're playing in Hawaii. It's 4 p.m. kickoff in Hawaii. So I don't know what that's for you. It's 8 p.m. for me.
Okay.
8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And 4 p.m. in Hawaii.
The math is not that hard. The Pacific time zone is 1 hour before Central. I'm kidding.
What?
I said the math is not that hard. The Pacific time zone is 1 hour before Central. So it'd be 7 for us, right?
Oh, I thought you were 2.
Yeah, you're right, 2. I should have shut up. My bad. You're right. We're 2.
You're 2.
Okay. Yeah, 2.
So anyway, next Friday night, NFL Network is when you can watch that. Now, I'm going to move on from by the way, I want to thank you for calling me on my birthday to wish me happy birthday, congratulate me on the channel. And also you called me earlier in the fall when we played Georgia. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I'm going, we're going to kick their ass.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I do. I know. But God, Georgia's they're a dip down from a bad. They're a notch down from a bad NFL team, right?
Yeah,
there's not that much of a gap, really. And you know what? I like their quarterback. I think he's going to be a good pro. I really do. Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, you think? Oh, really? You think so?
You know what? Well, give me some evidence that he wouldn't be. Right.
I'm not arguing either way.
If you get him in the right environment, right? I mean, he's not a franchise quarterback, I don't think, but man, that guy's going to have a 12, 15-year career as a backup spot starter.
He is a great college football quarterback. There's no question about that. Okay. I'm done with the Tennessee question. I'm going to the real stuff. These are the Tom Zenner questions.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah. By the way, I am a UT fan. I really am. I mean, that atmosphere when I watch that game against Alabama, I just love it. I'm rooting for them. They're my new favorite team in the SEC. I really do. I love the vibe that Heupel's created and everything. Watch him in the post-game interviews. He's likable. Yeah. Right? He gets it.
Just a likable guy. Yeah, you're right. All right. Zenner has podcasts with Cato Caitlin called 1 Degree of Scandalous. I'll get to that here in a second. I'll put the link in the description so you can go use it. But here's what I want to do first. Tom Zenner's first kiss, first name of the girl or boy, where was it, and when was the last time you saw him or her?
Gosh, it's a her. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to have to say her name is Julie. Okay. I'll go with that.
Okay.
And when did I see her last? I'd say within the last 10 years, 8 years.
Really?
Yeah. 7, 8 years.
Now, where
did it
happen? What
Oh my
grade?
God.
Or
Holy
Come
crap.
on,
I was probably in 6th or 7th grade. 6th or 7th. Okay. Is that okay?
All right.
Let's see. Outside, I think it was around Halloween. I think it was Halloween.
Now, Tom Zenner / Tom Brady. There's a connection. I know you know him. You both have great hair, although we can't see it under that lid you're wearing there. You both have great hair, great smile, and supermodel wives.
Right.
What other familiarities or similarities are there between Tom Zenner and Tom Brady? And when's the last time you saw him?
It's been a little while. Gosh, other similarities? Didn't start every game in college. Have a big chip on our shoulder. Does that work?
That's funny.
Have a hot-blooded wife or ex-wife that yells at me a lot. I mean, are those similarities?
Yeah, that's fun. I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say about Brady? Okay, we'll move on.
Here, I'll tell you one thing. I think they're going to win on Monday night. I think they're going to beat Dallas.
That's where I was going with that.
Yeah,
you think on Monday night they play Dallas? Are they playing in Tampa Bay or Dallas? Do we know?
Tampa. Put it this way: it's a Monday night game. It's a playoff game. It's under the lights. It's the only game. Who you have more faith in? The guy that led the league in interceptions that missed 5 games, or Tom Brady, who's got 7 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If they can get any bit of a running game going, they'll be all right.
What is the one thing that has surprised you the most lately? And by lately, I mean the past decade.
Outside the obvious?
Yeah.
Like how weird the world is right now.
Right.
Let's see. Is this sports related or world related?
It's whatever related you want.
The most surprising thing. Let's see. Here's one thing: how unrecognizable Los Angeles is compared to how it used to be. It just the energy and the excitement and the glitz and the glamour. It's just slowly eroding, and it's depressing. You were out here in the 80s. That was probably one of the best times here in the early 80s, outside the 7 serial killers that were roaming around, but a good time, it's just sad. And the worst part about it is it's self-inflicted, right? This isn't because we've suffered some big tsunami or there's been an earthquake or anything like that. It's all avoidable. It's all feels like it's part of a plan, and it's just robbing people that love this area. Who doesn't? If you're a creative person, this is where you want to be, right? At some point in your life, it just pulls you. And it was that for so long. And now just to see, you drive around in areas and just see what's going on here. It's sad. So that's one thing. Hopefully that's not too deep. Let's see what else.
Well, let me ask you this. What about the flooding? Is that impacting you?
Not really, because I live by the ocean. I live in Manhattan Beach. So I'm about 8 minutes from LAX, but along the coast. But I've seen it. I was in the middle of it. Monday it was pouring like crazy. I was with my son Dash. He was shooting a commercial, and it was outside. And I didn't know if we were going to get out of there because it was. And then there's been I have friends. They're driving by mudslides, and I have a friend who just came back from a big trip to Africa, and he lives in Montecito where they had the mandatory evacuations, and he's got a lot of flood water damage in his house. So it stopped. I think it's supposed to rain again tomorrow. But look, it's going to be green. We need it badly, and you're just used to that here. You're used to it, when it rains, because we have such big fires too, right? So those areas, you're just susceptible to these big mudslides because there's nothing to stop it.
Right, sure.
But exactly, right where I live, no, it just rains a lot. But other than that, there's no real hardship for me.
The most radical story you've heard since your new podcast has been up?
Okay, here's one. Excuse me. So I'll give you a couple. These are good. Okay. So I was working on Jason Alexander, Brittany Spears' first husband that she was married to for hours, 51 hours. It was the shortest celebrity marriage ever. So when that whole thing went down this summer and he broke into her house at the wedding, right? It was a huge story, just big scandal. And then he was arrested. They found a knife, on him, the whole thing. So he was getting hammered and I just felt bad for him. And I thought it was totally unfair. So I started just reaching out to him on, DMing him on Instagram saying, hey man, if you ever want to come and tell your story, come. We got you. You'll have a safe spot. I think what's happened to the media, the media are harassing you, blah, blah, blah. Nothing. Stone silence. Probably 2 or 3 months. Finally, he hits me back. Cool. We develop a little relationship. I meet with him, have a great bond. I really like him. He's a good dude. So we got him on the show. So literally the first interview he did was with us and it was all over the place, like Extra, Hollywood, it was all the Hollywood gossip sites. So here's what I couldn't believe. Earlier this year, he and Brittany were planning on getting together and running off again. So he knew the layout of the outside of her house and the hiking trails and whatnot. He knew all of that right there because she wanted to hook up with him. Okay. And then 3 days before the wedding, she called him and she never told him anything about the wedding. And he goes, they were flirting. They were going to try to get together because he's got this bond with her. He grew up with her. Right? They were friends since they were 5 or 6 years old. They grew up in Louisiana. So the fact that I was blown away by the fact that Brittany was wanting to hook up with him 3 days before the wedding. And he went to the wedding just saying, what the hell's going on here? He drove by because he was staying in Thousand Oaks. And then he heard on the radio that she was getting married that day. He goes, what? So he drives by the house and he sees all the tents and stuff set up. So he starts barging in. He starts filming himself because he thought they'd beat him up or the security would attack him. He's kicking down doors, going in and whatnot. So the fact that was pretty surprising to me that Brittany, literally wanted to
she was trying to hook up with him while she was getting married.
Yeah, because I don't think personally, I think that whole marriage is it's more of a hostage crisis than anything else. I mean, it's just, I feel bad for her. Her whole life has been robbed from her and she's such a talent. Okay, I'll give you a couple other things. Just stuff regarding the OJ situation. Just by being with Cato so much in the story. We had Tom Lang, the lead detective, the guy that was talking to OJ on the car the whole time. We had the helicopter pilot that owned that story with the Bronco on the chase for 20 minutes all by himself. Zoe Tull her name was Bob Tull, but she's had a sex change and it's Zoe Tull now. OJ used to serve on a lot of boards.
Okay, stop. Zoe Tur?
No, Zoe Tur. Yeah, Zoe Tur.
The helicopter pilot?
Yes.
Was the helicopter pilot that was following the Bronco?
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
Go watch our episode.
That I did not know.
It was fascinating. Here's the funny story too. So she got a tip about it that he might be in Orange County. So they go, let's go. They go down there and she thought maybe he'd be at Nicole's grave. So they see a white Bronco. Then they see an undercover car there too. Like they were trailing OJ as well. And then the Bronco takes off and they're on it. They are following it. So what was funny is she said, as the chase was going on and the whole world picked it up, she was the only one that had it. And then every other helicopter was trying to find them, right? Every other news station. She was lying about her location. So they couldn't find her. So she could own that story a little bit longer. So when she was reporting about, hey, we're following OJ, she was lying about exactly where they were. So that's pretty funny. That's crazy. Wow. She also got, the Night Stalker when he was being arrested.
Oh, really? Wow.
She was shooting that. I mean, in fact, her career is unbelievable. I'll just tell you one more OJ story, which I found unbelievable. So Cato was telling me that OJ served on a number of board of directors, right? Think about how popular and famous he was back then. Everybody wanted him probably, right? And it's easy money if you're on a board. And he used to talk a lot about it and this and that. And he goes, the one he bragged about the most was Swiss Army knife. He was on the board. Swiss Army knife. Yeah. And here's another really interesting thing too. Everybody thinks Cato is like tight with OJ and whatnot. Cato was friends with Nicole. Cato lived in Nicole's guest house. Okay. And then she ended up moving to Bundy to the condo and she wanted Cato to move with her. Cato was successful. He had a casting agency, Rocket. He read and screen tested for Dumb and Dumber. So he could have been in Dumb and Dumber because the timing just didn't work out. But so she wanted him to move into her place on Bundy. And he said, I don't feel right. I know you and OJ are maybe trying to get back together and I don't think it'd be appropriate, blah, blah, blah. So OJ goes, hey, I got an extra bungalow, on Rockingham. Why don't you come stay there? So that's how that was. That's how that happened. Yeah.
So let me just say, go ahead.
If you love pop culture, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers and listeners do, our show really is good because we book great guests. They're really comfortable coming on the show. Like, do you remember Ariana Grande when she had that donut licking scandal in 2015? It was a huge story. She went into this donut shop over by Bakersfield or San Bernardino, and she was licking donuts, and it was all on camera. We got the owner of the shop, right? We got the owner. We also had like the person that was the first one on the scene when Anne Heche crashed her car into that house and died. So he was probably the last person to see her alive. So it's a good show, and it's only getting bigger and better in 2023. So
well, congratulations on that show.
Thanks.
And I got to wrap this up because I got to get this thing cut and put up.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Put up on the internet. So
what else did you talk about? Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I got all my questions. The main thing I wanted to finish up with was 1 Degree of Scandalous, and I would just encourage people to go give it a shot. Send my viewers over there, and maybe you can send some of yours over to
Would love to
as well.
So, hey, anytime you want to talk about scandal from back in the day when you were running around here, let me know. We'll get you on. But you got to come clean, man. You got to bring the stories. Don't tease us.
Listen, I'm old now. I want to come clean. It's kind of like, a cleansing. Right?
God, think about your favorite stories that you remember. Just polish them and come on our show. We want to hear them.
You mean with the Price is Right actress at the after party?
All of them.
That story?
All of them. All of them.
Right,
I want them all.
I love you.
Okay, Rocket. Thanks, man.
So much.
Keep it rolling.
Take care.
Go Vols. All right. See ya.
Hey, thank you again for watching the show. If you like what we do here on this channel, please hammer that like button and hammer that subscribe button. I'd really like that a whole lot. Maybe even share an episode or two. What do you think? I don't know. Thanks to my guest today, Tom Zenner, from the podcast 1 Degree of Scandalous. You can catch that podcast. I have the link down in the description, and go there and give him some love. And I think that's all I got. Don't forget, we can watch Nico play next Friday night at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, in the Polynesian Bowl. So this will be the first time we've actually get to see him play as a result of his practice sessions for a few weeks with the Big Orange. I'm excited to see what the guy can do. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Say your prayers, share your toys, and don't hurt nobody. Unless they try to steal your lunch money. And then you own your own. See you tomorrow.